got incarcerated, I lost out, because all I really wanted to do was to be a father, and that was my pride and joy, and I lost that.
So tell us,
But
did you have your dad when you were growing up?
yes, I had both. I grew up in a two-parent home. I'm the oldest of five, and yeah, I had both my parents, hardworking military family. I was military brat, so we traveled a lot up and down the East Coast until they decided to settle in Virginia.
So you were raised with both your parents. So you didn't have a wayward background. You found trouble on your own. What brings you to that place, prison?
Um, Actually, once I got out on my own, I graduated early from high school. And I think once I jumped off the porch at 17, I
Right.
was pretty much on my own, and I was really proud and independent, and I wasn't looking for help from no one. I kind of felt like I was an island unto myself, and
So okay. So what do
I
you
got
think?
it.
What do you think made you a rebel, Dennis? Because that's what it sounds like, if I'm hearing you correctly. Because most of us are anyway when we're kids.
Yeah, I think more because I guess I could say I was sheltered as a child a little bit.
Hmm.
Like I didn't have, freedoms. I grew up in an era where, when the street light came home, you had to be in the house, and I didn't get to hang out like some of my friends got to hang out. So once I, got out on my own, I always kind of dove head first into things, and I got involved, with a lot of the wrong people and a lot of the bad crowds, and it kind of became an addiction to me being in the streets and things of that nature.
And can you tell us why you're incarcerated?
Yes, I was convicted of abduction, robbery, and sexual assault.
Wow. So that's sexual assault. Does that mean that you have to register when you come home?
Yes, but I'm currently actually trying to get my conviction overturned because I had admitted to the robbery, but I was not guilty of the sexual assault. So that is what I've been trying to fight my my time while being incarcerated
Is
was
that
to get those charges overturned.
is that an open case?
No, actually, I have to go through I try to do the appeal process through the Supreme Court and such.
So the sexual assault came with the abduction, did it?
Say that again.
The sexual assault came against the person that was abducted?
Yes. Well, in the state of Virginia, abduction is a little different. Like when they first told me that I was being charged with abduction, my first instinct was like I didn't take anybody anywhere. I didn't kidnap anybody.
Right.
But in the state of Virginia, keeping somebody from if you can move a person from more than 3 feet is considered abduction.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay. That's interesting. But so you're in Virginia, and is that where you caught your charges in Virginia?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, because I don't know if you transfer, if you transfer, you can transfer like in the federal system, you can transfer. So
No. Yeah. State. I'm a state prisoner.
wow. So when you go like, so parenting is tough. So you could be too strict or you could be not strict at all, and it seems like no matter what you do, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Wow. Now I understand that you're married. How did that happen while you were you know, in all this time? Do they have conjugal visits?
No. I think they got rid of conjugal visits back in like the late '80s, early '90s. But I actually met my wife through my sister,
Oh,
and we've been going strong now for almost 6 years.
okay.
I'm a father figure to her two young sons. Love them to death. The oldest is just turned. Both of them. The oldest just turned 11, and the youngest just turned 6. and we've been going strong. Story time. Helping them with their homework and things like that. I try to do that over the phone and check in on them on a regular basis to see how they're doing and watching them grow up. Through pictures and phone calls and things of that nature.
Wow. So she met you while you were incarcerated. You guys got married, and you're parenting her two sons from inside.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Is that common?
I think it's a little more. It's a lot more common than some people think. Because I really believe that when certain people become incarcerated, they take for granted certain things, and when you have the opportunity to get those things back, that you cherish every moment of it, and that for me is something that I really cherish. To be a husband and to be a father, to the best of my abilities, given my situation. So I take a lot of pride in it, and I try to guide them the best that I can because I had a good father figure growing up.
Right. How much time were you sentenced to?
45 years.
My Lord. 45 years. I know that when we first talked, I was like, I want to talk to your wife. I did speak to her, briefly, and I haven't talked to her in a while since you have been on lockdown. I haven't talked to her, and then when I spoke to you, so I haven't spoken to her recently. But I definitely wanted her to come on, and I wanted to talk to her to see what was that like, and what was she, you know, I like what's the thinking and marrying someone that is incarcerated with the number of years ahead. So they say. Let's put it that way. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
Let me be clear, because you are about to pick up and start fighting the situation again. Is that right?
Yes.
So what are you doing in what are you doing in order to fight? Like, how do you begin a fight like that? And then I want to talk to you about re-entering society. I know you only have 20 minutes, so I want to get in as much as I can, as many facts as I can, so
Well,
that mhm.
I think the way you begin the fight is it's like a game. Everybody wants to play the game, but if you don't know the rules, you can never win. And I find that a lot with the law. The courts will convict you, and then come to find out you get convicted on in the ways that they try to convict you that they didn't have a right to. And it's all about learning the law. Once you know the rules of the game, you play it. So it's about learning the law and learning the law in the way that it helps you, and then taking it to court and get your case overturned. The courts make a lot of mistakes. And a lot of times they cut corners, and a lot of people are sitting in prison because they don't understand the law.
Right.
And realize that there's just certain things that, hold on, you weren't supposed to be able to do that to me.
Right.
And one thing I remember my grandfather always telling me, and my mom used to tell me, if you want to hide something from a person, you put it in writing.
Right. The courts not only, I mean, the court, you know what, it's interesting when you say the courts made a lot of mistakes. Yeah, they definitely made a lot of mistakes, but I think they just drive through. Now, this is my opinion. And for those of you that know or don't know, back in 2012, I had pled guilty to charges of white collar fraud, and was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. I noticed that the courts, we can call them mistakes because we realized the mistakes after we got in. But I think, now for me, in retrospect, I can see that it was just a drive straight to an incarceration win, to a victory for the prosecution, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
and they know that they made the mistake. So was it really a mistake? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know you can
It's a
fight it,
business.
but what they want is that credit on the books, so to speak. I mean, because we're talking about paying, right, quote unquote, a debt, quote unquote. You were charged, quote unquote. So all of these things, they sound like we just spew them out like they're just words, but those words have weight. And so if you're charged and there's a debt to be paid, society wants the debt paid. So even if
Yeah.
you pay a portion of it, that's a good faith payment. Okay, so now we'll let you fight. Now let's see if you can get out. You know,
Exactly.
mm-hmm. There's a lot to that little game. That part of life that is a game. Most of it is. So I don't know, but what are you doing? So when do you start to pick up for what's your first course of action in trying to fight? And now is this your first time fighting after 18 years to get out?
I've fought it on numerous occasions, and what I've learned over the years is that there's different avenues that you can take, and a lot of times they don't tell you the avenues that you should take. It's a lot of try and fail until you come across, you meet other people that have been in your predicament, that they know the law a little bit better than you, and you learn from them. And
Right.
then it's like it's a lot of reading, and you find out, well, okay, what about this? A lot of
Mhm.
times the courts try to put limitations on what you're capable of doing. Everything has a statute of limitations, and if you don't know the law before you go in,
Right.
and you can't afford to pay for a lawyer,
Hmm.
then they got you. By the time that you realize that, hold on, something's not right, your time is up, and it makes your fight even harder. Like, you literally have 2 years from the day that you're convicted to appeal your case, and if you don't appeal it in that time, then even if you
Right.
find a way to get out, your time barred, and
Right.
then you have to find another avenue to
Hmm.
get out, and it's crazy. A lot of it is
it's
it's like
it's
tricks.
trial and error. It's trial and error. You
Yeah,
learn
Stalin.
you learn as you go. And one thing for certain, and everything for sure, once you get behind those walls, you got to learn quick,
Yes.
and pick up those law books. If you have I used to help people when I was away, and with motions to the court and that kind of thing. And pro se is really like is a good way. It's a really good way to go. Pro se is on your own recog that you are fighting the case. They realize that you don't have the knowledge, so some of the things that you put in a motion, they will accept, even though it's not written exactly the way it would have been written had it been an attorney. But
Yeah.
but one thing, and I'm gonna
But
just
nobody knows your case better than you.
nobody knows your case better than you. So the best thing you could do for yourself is to start reading those law books. And if you get an attorney while you're in there, direct that attorney. Don't get an attorney and then sit back and say, "Oh, my attorney's handling it." That's the biggest mistake anybody can make.
Exactly, and I can attest to that. That was the mistake that I made, was trusting that he was going to help me when all he was all I was another number on the docket.
Exactly. Exactly. Because they know what you're paying for and what you're not paying for. And listen, attorneys are officers of the court. Let's be clear. You know,
Yes.
so who are they serving first? Who is there? Who is there?
Exactly. They're serving the court before they're serving you,
Come on now.
especially when they're court appointed.
Especially, you're right. You're right. I'd like to say, especially maybe family attorneys might do a good job, but even their hands are tied. They are officers of the court. It's really that simple, and we say it all the time because it's a fact. It's a fact. And when you get one that decides that they're going to really fight for the people, hold on tight to that one because you'll need them at some point in life.
Yes.
That's a gem and a jewel that you share with other people because those are far and few between. Those are far and few between because everybody's on a upward climb. Everybody wants to climb the ladder, right?
Exactly. And
Having
it's money. A lot of it is about money.
It's about money. It's about prestige. It's about power. It's about wanting to become a judge at some point in life. So they're not going to cross that judge, right?
Exactly, because they may need him some. To them, they may need him somewhere down the line to help boost their careers.
Exactly.
Instead of seeing the person that's next to you, when in actuality you're playing with their life. You're using their life to enhance yours.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a dangerous game. It's a game that it's not one that I would want to play. It's not one that I would want to play by no means. By no means. It's not you playing with people's lives and that statute, like you were saying, like the statute running out and that kind of thing. At that point, there's always a precedent going down. Keep looking, don't ever stop. Now when you come home, I want to segue out because I know your time is short.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Brother, I'm just going to say returning home. I'm so happy that you have your wife and the children waiting for you when you get home. There's ways that we got to cultivate that. I'm definitely going to have you back on so
Most
that
definitely.
yeah, you definitely, if you get an opportunity to call us back while you're within this next like 30 minutes, please do so. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear
Okay.
from you because I would definitely want to talk about, your therapy, how you plan to be, get your therapy when you come home. 18 years is a long time. So even if you come home tomorrow or next year, it's relevant.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I think I'll may be able to call back, but if I don't, I definitely would try to call back at another date and time.
That'd be great. That'd be
Thank you for
great.
using
And you can
GTL.
call me, Dennis. Wow. Whew, that was amazing. Let me say hello to my chat. That was amazing. There's so many different things I want to touch on in that short conversation. But hi, Dr. JD Priest. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Hi, Elaine. I saw you come up in the room and was on with the brother. So we had a short time. I didn't want to cut him short, but I needed to talk to him, and I definitely wanted to talk to him about coming home. And Celeste, I see you, my sister, Toy Reed. I definitely wanted to talk to him more about just about how he plans to come home and how he plans to bridge that gap between his new wife that he's never spent any time in the physical with. That's a lot. Ah, did somebody say he called back? Yo, we missed Tall Pumps. Tall Pumps is not here, so she won't be able to man the chat. But we got this brother back on the phone, so we're gonna answer his call. Hello?
Hello. This is a prepaid debit call from
Uriah.
an inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Pocahontas State Correction. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Hey, you're right, Dennis. How you doing? You were able to call back. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is so
I was
cool.
able to get somebody. Let me go ahead and take another call.
That's good. That's good. So let's talk about you coming re-entering society and what that looks like for you.
I think I'm prepared
Okay.
because for the simple fact, I've always tried to keep my mind as sharp as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping up. 18 years is a long time to be away from society, so to say, because things change. I know that my home area where I'm from has changed dramatically with places being torn down and places being rebuilt and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But I always pride myself on keeping up with, current events. I've always watched the news. I try to keep up with what's trending, the new technology and things of that nature, and also keeping up my work skills. I do have vocational skills, and I've always been, even as a young child, I've always been a quick learner.
So you, and that's
a
great.
Person.
That's great. You know how they always say when you go in, the first day you go in, focus on your exit. Start preparing to leave. And I know with 18, and you were sentenced to 45 years. So with 18 behind you, when would you say you actually started to prepare?
Actually, I think I started preparing maybe 8 years ago.
And what did they listen? Let me back up one second. I want to go into what was it? Like, what was going on in your head for real when the judge said? I mean, in the feds, they give you months. Do they do that in the state? Do they sentence you?
No, they gave me years. How pretty much I was. They gave me 44 years and 12 months, and he said, and with no time suspended. So at 23 years of age, to me, that was life. That felt like life. That's how I saw it. And
so when that judge said when he said you've been sent what is it 44 years in 12 months, like what happened? How did that feel?
It was a serious blow to my chest, but I refused to hold my head down and show defeat while I was in the courtroom. And I had my family behind me. My family and friends were in the
Dennis,
behind me.
So Dennis, even at that point, I mean, strong, you're strong, right?
Yeah.
But
I didn't break down until I got back to my cell. And it really didn't hit me until I actually had to speak to my grandparents and tell them the verdict. And actually, when I first tried to say the number out loud, I got choked up, and that's when everything like really hit me.
Wow, that's tough. That's tough. So you felt it the same day that you got sentenced with it.
Yeah.
I know when I was sentenced, and it didn't register with me at all. Like I wasn't clear. They said 120 months. I didn't know it was 120 months and 12 days. I didn't get it at all. It was like, no, I just couldn't believe that that sentence was what it was. And then maybe it was days later when one of the correction officers, because they like to dig, right?
Yeah.
And so it was days later, one of the corrections officers asked me, how much time did I get? I said, I don't know. I don't know. And then they said, oh, okay. And then, well, what did they say? I said, I don't know. They said something like, I don't know, some months, some 120 months or whatever. I haven't even figured out what that is. Oh, that's 10 years. I'm like, thank you. You know what I mean? You know how they like to stick it to you in there. It's crazy. So now when you come home, what's your plan? We always in there and we say, this is what I'm gonna do when I come home. What's your plan for when you come home?
Well, I've tried to keep up with a lot of my skills. I'm very I'm currently taking computer literacy. Even though I was very computer literate when I was out there, but technology has changed, and I'm keeping up my skills. in that. I also have building maintenance and repair as a vocational trade. I'm HVAC certified. I can do plumbing, roofing, drywall. So I have those hands-on skills, and I've always really been big into real estate and things of that nature. Plus, I have a strong family support system, that I have with not only just my wife, but my other extended family, with my brother, with my siblings, and my parents and grandparents.
Man.
And, everybody's coming together to, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to achieve? And that's where I'm at. I've actually been, to help myself in a financial stance. I write. I've actually just finished writing my second book, and I'm in the process now of trying to get those books published, and I'm going from there. It's more so that I'm looking ahead as planning for my retirement more than, trying to work, because I've always been one to try to think how to work smarter and not harder.
Right.
To use my mind, and just watching TV today. Everything's social media these days, and I look at how some of these people are making money, and I'm like, they're really making money doing this. So I'm like, I know if they can succeed, I know I can succeed as well.
Right. Hold on, Don.
So I have nothing to lose. I'm already at the bottom, so the only place I can go is up.
Right. Wow. I will wish you the best of the best luck, man. Just the best luck. Stay strong. We got somebody in the chat saying stay strong. And, she's got some questions. She called. We don't, my moderator is out today. So kind of like I miss her so much, because doing this without a moderator is like the hardest thing ever. She would have put the phone number in the chat by now. Oh, wow. I put the wrong number in the chat. Oh, no. I got to take that number out of the chat. But the phone number, yeah. So people are going to call. She's going to call back as soon as we are off. As soon as we're off. But she says to stay strong. And I know you will, because, what choice, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what choice? All right. So is there anything that you want to say to the people that are listening?
Well, one thing I would say to anybody that, has somebody that has a family member or a loved one that's incarcerated, never lose hope. Try to keep God first. And, a lot of times you put it in God's hands and just never lose hope.
Right.
You got it.
That's a good word right there.
Because in the end, that's all that any of us really have is faith and hope. And you just gotta grow and go from there.
Got you. Well, Dennis, thank you so much for calling in. Thanks for sharing your time with us. And we are going to, thank you.
Allowing me to.
We're going to keep you in prayer. You have the